各位观众朋友们，大家好，现在是美国东部时间1月9日，这里是华尔街电视华尔街现场。今天呢，我们要为大家关注到的是1月9日美中全国委员会在纽约举行的预测2020年中国经济主题论坛。本年度论坛所涉及的2个话题分别为第一阶段贸易协议与中美关系走向，还有就是预测2020年的中国经济发展形势。有趣的是，在会议上，美国经济学家有认为，在北京背离改革的背景下，两国不可能达成伟大协议；而来自中国方面的经济学家则表示，要求中国在2年内增购美国2000亿美元的产品，几乎是不可能完成的任务。北京大学国家发展研究院教授、北京大学中国宏观经济研究中心卢峰表示，他之所以会对中美贸易第一阶段协议有比较正面的评价，是因为达成这样一个协议可以说十分不容易。他表示，过去将近2年，中美两国经过13轮的磋商，两国政府都做了非常大的努力，才达成了如今的成果。过去曾经有2次几乎要达成协议了，但是因为种种原因却不得不放弃，所以我们还是要对现在的结果表示肯定。第二呢，就是尽管现在的协议还没有达到很多人希望的理想结果，也就是它没有能够解决双边关系中的一些结构性问题，但是至少迈出了第一步，也就是说有第一步就可能有第二步，就这样往下走，那么这样比完全处在僵局中肯定还是具有重大意义的突破。但是总部在纽约的荣鼎咨询集团的联合创始人荣大聂他表示，这并不是一个大协议，也不可能成为一个大协议。他表示，因为当中国现在还没有决定想要什么的时候，你不可能谈出一个新的大协议或者是大框架。我们现在处在一个特殊的时刻，过去的时代已经过去，那个时候中国有一套清晰的一揽子政策，设定了如何实现与市场经济相融合的目标，哪些是中国需要保留的国企元素，哪些是需要更加面向市场的。而我们现在正处于中国重新审视那些基本概念的时刻。而华盛顿智库彼得森国际经济研究所的经济专家拉迪表示，因为多数重大问题并没有得以解决，多数经济学家认为双边贸易平衡并不十分重要，因此应该把重点放在讨论结构性问题上。但是川普总统似乎不这么看，因此许多注意力被放在次要问题上，而关于国家补贴、国家工业政策等主要问题还没有讨论。同时，拉迪表示，中国方面对这个协议没有透露任何信息，似乎是有难言之隐。他表示，中国方面从来没有说过同意在未来2年要向美国进口2000亿美元的商品，也从来没有提到任何具体的农产品购买承诺，而美方却发布了很多详细内容。之所以会导致这种情况，有可能是因为中国的国内政治原因，因为中方不想显示谈判人员对美方做了很多让步，因为如果这样做，在现在的政治形势下将是非常困难的。下面呢，要为您带来的就是华尔街电视记者在现场为您拍摄的这段对话内容，希望对您有所帮助。
We all know that almost 2 years ago, when the two countries, China and the US, had some difficulties in the trade war, then I think the two countries, the government, make the observers as us happy twice. Okay. In the May 2018, we almost have a deal. Then it collapsed. Okay, we're disappointed. Then in the May last year, we almost make a deal. Then we're also disappointed because situation changed. Now recently, actually it's the last month. Okay, 13 last month, both countries announced we had a phase 1 deal. Okay. 10 days ago, President Trump tweeted that they will have the signing signature ceremony in this country 18th or 15th, a few days later. So exactly maybe 15 hours ago, the Ministry of Commerce spokesperson at Beijing announced the high levels delegation will come to this country, for phase 1 deal. Signing signature. So almost certain now, we will have a phase 1 deal. As mentioned by our colleagues, and actually we don't have the full information about what's the detailed information about the phase one deal. But both countries announced some limited information, especially USTR gave the fact sheets, okay, clarifies certain information about the upcoming phase one deal. On basis of that, then maybe we can, and have some comments and discussions on that. To me, I think, even though the upcoming phase one deal agreement will not be able to reverse the whole situation, evolved over the last 2 years also, at least, it will present some kind of very positive impact to recapping, the worsening situation we witnessed in recent years. Also created sort of a new momentum, in shaping the future evolution of the bilateral relationships. So in that kind of inside of this kind of observation, I would like to say, maybe in 20 or 30 years later, we will recall what will happen now is sort of the milestone in, and bilateral relationships development. Why I say it's very important for us to have this phase one deal, even though it's not, the complete sort of the reversing of the whole situation. I think maybe there's 2 points I think is very important. Number one, I think it has created sort of new elements in the whole evolution of the process, to impose sort of capping impact on worsening situation we witnessed over the last 2 years also. So there's a lot of, I think, elements in that. Number one, you can say, on the basis of the information released by USTR, maybe the new agreement will have certain chapters to deal with all these issues has been highlighted in the so-called the Section 3001 report, investigation report, announced in 23 March 2018. I think all these issues has been addressed. So that indicates 2 countries, 2 governments has approached sort of the understanding or sort of the solution, preliminary solution to these issues. Number 2, I think that solved a very controversial disputes between these 2 countries, leading to the current recent year situation. Number 2, I think very importantly, also very importantly is, and it indicates that, we are set off the distribution, China side will make some significant amount of extra purchase of the goods and services and from this country. That will help to some extent reduce the trade imbalances between these 2 countries, even though I don't think it will eliminate all these kind of trade imbalances. In my personal view as an economist, I think the trade imbalances, and vis-a-vis China and between China and the United States reflects sort of the complementarity, in economic levels, between these 2 countries. But at least, and the possible agreements in the phase one deal will address this issue and in a significant way. I think that is also a very important progress. Number 3, I think also important, they will set sort of the settlement and the mechanism to have sort of the daily or regular discussion or coordination of the disputes, rather than broke out in the trade war in a tariff and the measures, using the tariff measures. So all these kind of the agreements will help to stabilize, how can I say, the 2 countries' relationships, to cap, further escalation of the worsening situation. I think the second importance of this proposed phase one deal is that it created certain areas of the recoupling, and even deeper integration, and in the economic areas between these countries. Alongside, maybe to some extent, we will still see sort of the partial decoupling. We talk a lot of decoupling, very unfortunately, and in recent 2 years, it happened indeed. For example, in recent, the day before yesterday, this country announced, the government in this country announced they will introduce the new limits in the export of AR-related sort of software. Okay, maybe also targeting China. Okay, that is very unfortunate. Maybe also something is inevitable, in the foreseeable future. But very important, if the Phase 1 deal will be implemented, that also means China and the U.S. in economic areas, certain areas, will further engage, will further integrate. That means you will have, and further recoupling. So in future, maybe we will see two parallel processes: recoupling as well as decoupling. Okay, then dynamic process of these two elements will decide the future relationships. Okay, so of course there's still a lot of problems. For example, extra purchase of the $200 billion in this year and the next year. It will be so difficult on the basis of preliminary calculation by my colleagues. That indicates China will increase imports from this country, by more than 70% compared with last year. In agriculture side, maybe we have to increase by 80% to 180%, depends which year you will have as a base year. It seems to me it's just impossible. Okay, also it contradicts, there's a discussion yesterday, in the dialogue, it contradicts the United States request from China, to diminish the role of the SOE. Because in order to do that, you have to strengthen the role of SOE. So I think, maybe there's agreement. I think the United States side should have some kind of the accommodative attitudes, more flexibility will be needed, okay, in that regard. On the other hand, I mentioned the settlement and the resolution mechanism. That maybe it could be constructive, but also very controversial, because that indicated that each party can take some appropriate action, maybe including tariff action, in the certain circumstances, that makes this action appropriate. That means, two countries' relationships were subject to a lot of uncertainties in future. So saying that, I still think the Phase 1 deal is a positive, successful results. Very important that indicates, even though we have a lot of problems, structural difficulties between two countries in managing their relationships, but if they can further take constructive attitudes, also appeal to the negotiation and the talks rather than only confrontation, I think there's still, way to make a deal, to make agreement, to push forward bilateral relationships going forward. That will be good for two countries as well as for the whole world. Thank you.
And those big imports are going to change how China deals with other suppliers, which is also
that's
very complex.
Very
Hopefully we'll come back to it as well. Dan Rosenberg.
Thank you, and what a pleasure to be here with this group of folks. We've been getting together for 10 years now, and having this conversation twice a year to try to make a contribution to the relationship. So we're at a really important moment now, stock-taking moment, and this panel, we're talking about this deal and how we should kind of score it. How is it? As Catherine pointed out, we can't really say because we haven't been given the text. We haven't been given the terms of the deal. We can, though, I think, safely say that this is not a big deal. It's not a very comprehensive deal. It can't be, and I'll comment on that. It is a placeholder, though, and as a placeholder, it can be very useful and very important to us right now if we use it as a starting point to do more comprehensively constructive things in the relationship. So let me flesh each of those points out for just a second. It is not a big deal and can't be a big deal because you can't make a big new deal framework at a time when China has not presently decided what it wants to be. And we are in a special moment past a time in which China had a pretty clear policy package, set of goals, about how it wanted to converge with the market economies, what elements of statism it wanted to preserve, and where it wanted to be more market-oriented. We're now in a time where China is revisiting a lot of those basic assumptions. Not just China, others in the world too, are thinking anew about old questions of the balance between the role of markets and the role of industrial policy and things like that. So it's not just a China phenomenon, but it's foremost a China phenomenon. And they're not really in a position in Beijing right at this moment to sign on the dotted line on all the different elements which have become unstable in our bilateral relationship, but not just between China and the US, China and all the OECD economies. Some of the European players are even thinking even more disruptively in some ways than the United States is, believe it or not. So this can't be a big comprehensive deal because the time is not right for it to be 20 years ago for that matter, the WTO framework as it exists. We haven't really, Donald Trump hasn't really landed a better package of outcomes than could have been done in a much less bellicose, less disruptive way, I would say. We're going to have big reversion back to growth in some U.S. commodity exports, hards and softs, things like coal, things like soybeans and pork, all will go up. They should have been going up persistently over the past 3 years, and now we'll be catching up a little bit. So as a placeholder, this won't be bad. There will be some important elements in it. Things like financial sector opening, potentially very important to Citi, are great, but they're being offered by China to firms globally, not just to the Americans. In fact, European and some Japanese players have been able to move faster than U.S. financials are able to move presently because they haven't had home governments that were taking such a disruptive tack on how to deal with all this. So this kind of small ball outcome can nonetheless be a terrifically important opportunity to build momentum for getting back on track with a more convergent way of dealing with our economic interests together. And all those global affairs that are more than just economic, political, climate change, pandemic disease, all sorts of things that we need to be working together to manage together. This does give us the opportunity to say, okay, the politics can accommodate deal making and being constructive and not just focusing on the zero sum kind of nature of things. But it's not going to just be counting up changes in the trade balance. In fact, if we're going to talk about the macro more, I think a little bit on the second panel too, but China's going through a pretty tough adjustment process right now. If it has a weak growth year in 2020, which I think it might, and we continue to hold up pretty strong on the back of very accommodative monetary, as was pointed out as well, then those fundamentals don't augur terrifically for a big surge in U.S. exports to China, quite the opposite, right? So we may or may not be able to score this as a tremendous success just based on the trade flows. But if we have confidence building measures now, that Beijing takes the signing ceremony moment as an opportunity to show that trying to build leverage by taking foreign nationals into extra legal detention is not the way to build confidence in your market. For example, that pushing journalists further away from the story is not the way to build a dynamic economic crowding in effect that gets everybody excited. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit available to Beijing now that we have a pause in the bellicosity that allows both sides to show that they haven't forgotten what the really terrific opportunities are to be productive and constructive and adult, I dare say, about how we manage this relationship. I look forward to the discussion around some of this stuff, John.
Excellent, excellent. Gao Shenman.
Just as Dr. Qingxiao pointed out, I think and I agree the root cause of the Sino-US trade war is a conflict of different economic models between China and the United States. And China had actively pursued market-oriented reform, and that abruptly changed the course after the global financial crisis. Ever since 2008, the government actively, aggressively, and persistently intervened in the economy, as pointed out by Mr. Lardy, which distorted the market, reduced the growth potential with global repercussions. And it's debatable and questionable even in China itself whether or not that's the best model for China, whether it serves Chinese people's interests the best. It's questionable even in China. But at least that's partly the result of the policy efforts to fight the long-term economic slowdown. Therefore, it might be ironic that in China, the trade war even has been welcomed by quite some people as a catalyst, as a chance to debate the past policy practice, to build momentum, to build consensus, to restart the market-oriented reform. And in this way, the trade war, on the one hand, the trade war is a tragedy for both countries. However, on the other hand, some people, even quite a lot of people, hope that this may provide a catalyst for China to restart the market-oriented reform, which will serve both China and the U.S. interests in the long term.
That's an optimistic view.
Yeah.
Which let me turn to Lardy to get a response on, because Xi Jinping, if anything, has reaffirmed his confidence in the existing model. And Nick, that's the issue, isn't it? Are we going to see substantive change if the party says, look, it's worked this far, it's worked quite well, there's some hurdles to get over, there's some problems that have developed internal to the economy, but it's working and it's keeping the party in power and it's allowing the patronage system to continue. Why change?